And I'm sure you've had the same kind of recent conversations, as have I, with both the professionals or the paid staff and the volunteer staff. And the concerns that I hear, particularly from the paid staff, is last time I spoke to them, they had like 60 or 80 current vacancies. They were losing between 2 and 4 people a month through normal retirement. But the number that scares me is that about 20-25% of the remaining staff is retirement eligible.
Right.
And when I ask what's Plan B, there is no Plan B, and that's the concern because you know, fire and EMS is a critical, obviously not only just a safety issue, but it supports the community's sense of safety.
Right.
And I know it's part of that conflicting. All the agencies of government are looking for funding and whatever, and the next county executive is going to have to be making some very tough decisions. Right. None of which are going to be attractive.
Right.
What have you given any thought to this side of the public safety equation?
You know, I have, and when I say public safety, I put them both together because I think you have to. All of our public safety agencies, whether it's police, fire, our correction officers, our sheriff department, because all of them have to work in conjunction to help reduce crime and make people feel safe and businesses feel safe coming out here. But particularly our police department and our fire department, because the retirement age there and the number of folks, and this is scary as someone coming in as county executive, the number of folks who can retire and our preparation for those people, not just in replacing the bodies, but replacing the experience. So when we say that we have to look at Plan B has to include what are we doing to recruit, but also what are we doing to entice those individuals to stay on to help us train these new people that are coming here. As you know, the speed time to get up, you know, whether you're EMS or whether you're a police officer, is not 60 days or 90 days or 1 year. But someone with experience can come in and know exactly where to go, how to deal with the situation there. So as county executive, I'm going to have to look at taking our limited resources, putting them where they not only are most needed, but where they have the greatest impact of making people feel comfortable about coming to Prince George's County, investing in Prince George's County, doing business in Prince George's County, and staying here. And that means education and public safety are the agencies we can't look to cut. We just simply can't afford it, just from a PR standpoint.
That's, excuse me, that's great, because I was at lunch one day with the union reps for the fire department, and an ambulance went by the restaurant. And the guy said to me from the union, he said, by the way, that means your firehouse is empty. There's no one in Firehouse 39. I said, wait a minute, those two guys, he said, those two guys should be there. It should be a 4-man detail. It's only 2. And that is, I know you're on point on this thing, but that is scary when you sit there and he says to you, oh, firehouse is empty.
Yeah, it just, but what it brings up is that we have to look at different ways of attracting funds. We simply can't just look at Prince George's County and our property tax base and say that's going to be it. We've got to look at getting federal dollars here. What better time to do that, though? We've got a new president here that wants to do some demonstrations. If he's going to look at the diversity and demographics, your city alone will give him everything he needs to do a model program right here on safety, whether dealing with the police, dealing with EMS, dealing with fire. Right here we can have a model where they can come and use Homeland Security money, they can use federal dollars to come here and do a demonstration so we can see how it's working. How can we use technology better? Because if you can make it work here in Bowie, it can work anywhere. Because you have everything that he needs, demographics, both in terms of income, race, and all of those things, dealing with highways, dealing with traffic. I mean, all those things are here. But we've got to use, as county executive, I plan to use not only Annapolis, but the federal government to say, listen, John Bakari, you're the Deputy Secretary of Transportation. Here's a place where you can come and invest some dollars that we can use for public safety. We've got a Deputy Secretary that's over at HUD who used to be a county executive. He understands that. Come here and invest in us.
And we have a friendly majority leader.
Yes, that's right.
So why don't you make a couple of calls and we'll take Bowie into the next millennium.
December 10th, I'll be calling them.
Good.
Of 2010.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, like I say, and I appreciate all that you said tonight. I mean, it's important. The next year is going to be a challenge for all of us in terms of, obviously the state legislative session comes back in January. We were told today that the next $300 million cut is not going to adversely affect the cities and towns. We got that from the governor's office today, which is incredibly good news. But there's about $500 million in cut that's going to have to be made in the next session.
Right.
So we lost $2 million last year for our share of highway user funds. I'm anticipating a similar loss this year. We cannot subsidize the state. That's our problem. So I think the idea of us all working together, the city, the county, and the state, try to bring all those resources together and try to come up with a common sense of priorities that focuses on an achievable goal. That's what I think we need to hear from candidates, and that's what we need to hear from incumbents, and say, how do we get from here to there? As you know yourself, I mean, we in this business divide the people we work with into two groups. The you can't do that because group, and then there's this obstacles to overcome group. And this is the group that we want to focus on.
Exactly.
As a citizen of Bowie, I never knew you divided us into little groups. I'll ask him later, what group am I in? And you might want to know too.
I would.
Yeah.
Yes. But I think your idea of going to the Fed, and of course you started out talking about your knowledge and the people that are in Annapolis that you can go to and your personal friends and things like that. Extremely important at this time for a city. Bowie is growing, what, 63,000?
We're about 6. Well, I'm anticipating that the 2010 census will have us almost 60,000 people.
Oh, I'm going to spend a lot of time here.
That's, well, if you think about it, the city's doubled in size almost in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Not in a rather unusual condition, and the fact that we've been able to deal with it as effectively as we had is incredible.
It is definitely a model. Definitely a model.
Lynn, anything else?
I just would like to thank Rushern for coming, and at the risk of sounding like a campaign manager, I do want people viewing to know that he's in Bowie a lot. I've seen him in the parades, I've seen him at the Senior Center, I've seen him at churches, and I hope...
You work out at the Senior Center, do you?
That wouldn't let me.
You're not old enough to be a member there yet.
And I hope the people of Bowie do get a chance to chat with him.
We appreciate having Rushern here tonight because I always say that you're at your base. In Bowie, you've always had a base. And we welcome you here at any time. And I can get you in the Senior Citizens Center.
Thank you.
Without any trouble. And it was nice that Mrs. Baker's here. Yes. And we're wrapping it up now. So why don't you give a final hit?
Well, the last thing I'd like to say is that if you want more information on the campaign, it's rushernbaker.com. Very easy. If you can go there to our website, we've got it. And I will be here in Bowie a lot. This is a great place, and I think it's a model for what we can do throughout the county and the state.
Okay. Well, that's it. Good night, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next month, but we'll be on air several times this month, and then we'll come back again before Christmas. So good evening.